Lucas Marshall, a wealthy and arrogant man, agreed to a bet that would change his life in ways he never expected. If this love story speaks to your heart, one simple subscribe means the world to us. Help us reach our 1,000 subscriber milestone. Before we begin, leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Lucas was used to winning, both in business and in life, and competition fueled him. But when his close friend Jack made a bold challenge at a lavish New York party, Lucas was intrigued. Jack smirked and threw out the challenge. "Let's see if you can win this one, Lucas. I bet you wouldn't have the guts to marry a woman who doesn't fit your usual type." Lucas, known for dating beautiful women, was taken aback. But always eager to prove himself, he raised an eyebrow and asked, "And what's the prize?" With a mischievous grin, Jack raised his champagne glass and said, $1,000,000 to the winner. But you have to marry her and stay married for at least 6 months. Feeling the rush of competition and the appeal of a financial challenge, Lucas agreed without hesitation. The woman Jack had in mind was Chloe Richards, someone who didn't fit conventional beauty standards. Lucas didn't know her, but to him, it was just another deal to win. Their first meeting took place at a luxurious restaurant. When Chloe arrived, Lucas immediately noticed how different she was from anyone he had ever met. She wasn't intimidated by the lavish setting or by Lucas himself. Instead, she met his gaze with unwavering confidence. "You must be Lucas Marshall. And you must be Chloe Richards." She hesitated briefly before shaking it with a firm grip, showing her determination. "Let's not beat around the bush. I know why we're here. I know about the bet, the terms, and the conditions. And yet you still agreed to meet. Let's just say I have my reasons. I'm not naive, Lucas. 6 months may seem short, but a lot can change in that time. If you think you can manipulate or control me, you're mistaken." Lucas smiled. Chloe was proving to be more of a challenge than he had anticipated, which only made things more interesting for him. As their first meeting ended, Lucas found himself increasingly intrigued by Chloe. She wasn't like anyone he had met before. She wasn't afraid of him, and that piqued his curiosity, even admiration. Days passed, and Lucas couldn't stop thinking about how to approach the next step. He was used to being the master of the game, but now it seemed Chloe had her own moves. Their second meeting took place at a simple cafe, a far cry from the glamorous restaurants Lucas usually frequented. Chloe had suggested the spot. He wanted to understand who she was and why she had accepted what seemed like a temporary contract of marriage. When Lucas arrived, Chloe was already there, sipping tea with a calm smile. She greeted him warmly, without the coldness of their first encounter, but still carried herself with that same unshakable confidence. "I thought you preferred 5-star restaurants. Sometimes it's good to break the routine." They chatted for a while, exchanging surface-level details, but Chloe quickly got to the point. "If we're really going through with this, I want to make a few things clear. I'm not interested in your money or your luxury lifestyle. 6 months is 6 months, and I plan on walking away from this exactly the same as I entered. So what do you want, Chloe? Freedom. I want you to know that even though we're entering into this agreement, I won't be controlled by you. I have my own life, and that's not going to change because of a temporary marriage." Lucas smiled. It wasn't the answer he had expected, but at the same time, he didn't mind granting Chloe this freedom. To him, marriage was just a formality to win the bet. If she wanted to keep her independence, it wouldn't bother him. "Fine. 6 months. After that, we go our separate ways." The meeting ended on friendly terms, with both of them leaving with their roles clearly defined. Chloe would keep her independence, and Lucas would ensure that the marriage remained nothing more than a formality. But as the days passed and the wedding date approached, Lucas couldn't help but feel that maybe this game wasn't as simple as he had imagined. Lucas Marshall already saw himself as the winner of the bet. He was certain that 6 months would fly by, and that Chloe, no matter how stubborn, would eventually give in to the luxurious lifestyle he was about to offer her. Right after the ceremony, Lucas took Chloe to his massive penthouse in the heart of New York, a monument to his wealth. The huge glass windows reflected the city lights, and the interior was filled with the most expensive and exclusive decor. To him, this was the real battleground, where he would win Chloe over through the power of his material world. But from the very first moment, Chloe made it clear she wasn't going to back down. As soon as she stepped into the penthouse, she maintained a distant demeanor. The look she gave Lucas wasn't one of admiration, but of defiance. 6 months, Lucas. Not a day more, she said firmly, walking over to one of the large windows and looking out at the city, completely unimpressed by the luxury surrounding her. Lucas smiled, confident. He was used to this kind of resistance in the beginning. Every woman who had been in his life eventually bent to his charm and wealth. Chloe wouldn't be any different. Lucas tried everything to impress her. He showered her with expensive jewelry, designer clothes, and luxurious trips, all with the expectation that Chloe would start adapting to the lifestyle he dictated. But to his frustration, she refused it all. Chloe insisted on sticking to her simple, modest routine, never giving in to the trappings of wealth. "I don't need these things, Lucas," she would say with a calmness that only irritated him more. He stopped her from going to work, offering reasons like, "You don't need a paycheck anymore," or, "Your role is to be my wife." When Chloe insisted on going, he made her wait for hours for meetings she thought were important. But Chloe didn't give in. She was a solid rock against Lucas's attempts, and that only intensified his desire to break her. On one particularly tense night, Lucas tried a more emotional approach. "I don't understand you, Chloe. Any other woman would be happy to live in this kind of luxury, but you act like it's not enough. What do you really want? What do I want? I want respect, Lucas. I'm not a piece on your chessboard. You think you can control me with money, but you're wrong. Money doesn't buy dignity or integrity. You might have all these things around you, but you're empty inside. And that's what you can't stand." He started making plans to isolate Chloe, to make her realize that without him, her life would be much harder. He cut off her contacts, closed doors that could advance her career, and even sabotaged important events she was organizing. And then, one night, Chloe played her own card. "You think you're in control, don't you? But what you don't know is that I have a plan too. And believe me, when the time is right, you'll see that this whole game is built on something much bigger than you ever imagined." The weeks passed like a tightly stretched rope, growing tenser each day, ready to snap. As Lucas wrestled with his thoughts, Chloe carried on with her routine. She seemed more distant each day, almost as if she were waiting for something. Lucas felt as though there was an invisible wall between them, something he couldn't break through, and it tormented him. He didn't know if it was pride or the fear of losing control, but something about Chloe drew him in a way he had never imagined possible. Jack, his friend who had proposed the bet, said during a casual dinner, "You're different. Normally you'd have everything under control by now, but it seems like this woman is challenging you in a way no one else has." Lucas forced a smile, unable to respond right away. He hated to admit that Jack was right, but it was clear something was changing. The 6 months of marriage were almost over, but for Lucas Marshall, each day felt like an eternity. He had tried everything to uncover the secret she carried, but each answer only led to more questions. One night, after a business meeting, Lucas arrived at the penthouse later than usual. The balcony light was on, and there was Chloe, sitting and looking out over New York. He walked toward her, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the quiet room. Chloe didn't turn around right away. The air was heavy, almost as if they both knew something devastating was about to unfold. "I need answers, Chloe. I can't take this game anymore. You have to tell me the truth." Chloe sighed slowly and rose from her chair, turning to face him. Her eyes, usually calm and calculating, now shone with an emotion Lucas couldn't decipher. "The truth, Lucas. Do you really want the truth?" He nodded without hesitation, but the tension in the air grew with each passing second. Lucas braced himself for any answer, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to hear. "You have no idea who I am. You've always seen people as pawns on your chessboard. But this time, Lucas, you were the pawn. I've been playing this game from the start. Do you remember the name Richards? Of course he didn't. People like him never did. My father owned a small company, one that struggled to survive, until you came along and destroyed it. Lucas stepped back, his mind racing to connect the dots. What are you talking about? Chloe took a step toward him, her eyes burning with anger and grief. My father, Lucas. He was an honest man, struggling to support our family, until you came along and took everything. She inhaled sharply, the weight of her own words pressing down on her. You ruined him, Lucas. He lost everything, and it led to his death. Chloe paused, her voice breaking for a moment before she continued, tears welling up in her eyes. My father killed himself because of your empire, your success at any cost. He stood there frozen, as memories slowly resurfaced. There had been so many deals, so many contracts, so many lives affected by his greed. He couldn't remember every company he had crushed to rise to the top. But now, suddenly, it was all coming back to haunt him. He tried to interrupt, desperate to explain, but she raised her hand, stopping him. You have no idea what you caused. It's not just about money, Lucas. It's about destroyed lives. You took my father from me. And while you thrived, my mother and I sank into debt and despair. You lived your life in luxury, while we barely had anything to eat. Lucas was completely stunned. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but no words came out. All he could do was stand there, staring at her, as the weight of guilt pressed down on his chest. But I planned everything. When I learned about your bet, I saw my chance. I approached you on purpose. I accepted the bet because I wanted you to feel just a fraction of what I felt. I wanted you to know what it's like to be played, manipulated, and left powerless. Lucas felt his body tremble. He had always thought he was in control, always believed he would come out victorious. But now, the tables had turned. He was the target. Chloe. I didn't know. I didn't know you were. You never knew, because you never cared. Her voice was quiet, but sharp, cutting through him like a blade. You destroyed lives without a second thought. And now, I'm here not to destroy you, but to make sure you never forget what you did. I want you to feel the pain you caused, and that pain, Lucas, will haunt you for the rest of your life. Silence filled the penthouse. Lucas stood there, motionless. He had never experienced anything like this before, the real consequences of his actions. The weight of guilt was crushing. Chloe stepped away, the silence echoing through the penthouse. Lucas felt his legs give out, and he collapsed onto the couch, speechless, with no answers. For the first time, he was truly out of control. He wanted to talk to her, to apologize, to explain the inexplicable. But the truth was, no words came. How could he justify something so cruel, something that had caused so much pain? In the days following her revelation, Chloe did exactly what Lucas feared most. She completely ignored him. She walked past him as if he were invisible, as if his existence was nothing more than a shadow. At breakfast, she sat in silence, barely lifting her eyes. When he tried to speak, his words died in the air, unable to break through the wall she had built between them. The absence of attention was unbearable. Chloe spoke to the staff, handled her personal affairs, but with Lucas, it was as if he didn't exist. One night, Lucas found her in the living room, reading a book. The scene looked peaceful, but he knew that moment of calm was a silent trap. He sat on the couch, trying once again to talk. Chloe, I know I've done horrible things. I know I've caused you so much pain. But please, can we try to work this out? Can we at least talk? Chloe slowly closed the book, without looking at him. When she finally raised her eyes, her face was so cold that it made him shiver. You think there's something left to say? After everything you've done, words are useless. I was wrong, Chloe. I know that. I would do anything to fix what I've done. I can change. I swear. She finally looked at him, her gaze piercing, as if challenging him to back up his own promises. Do you think changing now will erase everything? Will it bring my father back? Will it fix the years we spent in misery because of you? She took another step forward, and Lucas felt himself sink, crushed by the intensity of her stare. No, Lucas, it won't. What you do now isn't for me. It's for you. You'll carry this weight, this guilt, for the rest of your life. Lucas stood in silence. For the first time, he realized there would be no easy redemption. One morning, Lucas woke up determined. He knew he couldn't simply ask for forgiveness. He had to do something different. Lucas began to pay attention to the small things that made up Chloe's life. He observed her daily routines, her preferences, her likes. He didn't follow her, didn't invade her space, but mentally took note of everything. She loved flowers, especially peonies. She liked her coffee strong, no sugar. These details, once insignificant, were now the key to his attempt at reconnection. That same afternoon, Lucas went to one of the best flower shops in town and bought a bouquet of peonies. He wasn't going to give them to Chloe directly. He knew she'd reject them right away. Instead, he left the flowers on the kitchen table without a note. Simple, yet meaningful. He waited anxiously as she went out for a walk. When Chloe returned, she found the bouquet. She didn't say anything, but out of the corner of his eye, Lucas saw the exact moment she stopped in front of the flowers. Her expression didn't change, but she picked up one of the flowers and smelled it. It was a small gesture, but for Lucas, it was a sign. Chloe hadn't rejected them outright. It was on a particularly cold evening that things began to shift. Chloe stood on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket, watching the city lights. After hesitating for a few moments, Lucas walked over to her. He brought her a cup of hot tea, knowing she liked to drink something warm before bed. "I thought you might like something hot." Chloe didn't say anything at first, but she took the cup, her eyes still focused on the city ahead. Lucas stood beside her, silent, just trying to be present without intruding. "Why are you doing this, Lucas?" Lucas knew this was his chance to speak, but he had to be careful. He took a deep breath before responding. "Because I realized that talking doesn't mean anything anymore. My words don't matter. What I did can't be fixed with apologies, but I'm trying to show you that I'm changing. I want to be a better person not just for you, but because I realized I need to be." Chloe remained silent for a few more seconds, still holding the cup of tea. The cold wind blew past them, but the tension seemed to ease a little. "You can't change the past, Lucas." "I know, but I can change the future. I'm not ready to fully forgive you, but you're showing me something different. I see that you're trying, and maybe that's the beginning of something." Lucas felt his heart race. He couldn't rush things, he knew that, but Chloe's words were enough to keep his hope alive. He knew the road ahead would still be long, but he was willing to take every step, if it meant earning her forgiveness, and maybe one day, her love. As the 6-month marriage agreement came to an end, something unexpected began to happen. Chloe and Lucas grew closer. Their conversations became less formal, less tense. They shared moments of laughter and connection, and slowly, love started to blossom in a way neither of them had anticipated. They were no longer the distant couple trapped in an arranged marriage. Now, they were two people rediscovering each other in a genuine, heartfelt way. One night, as the 6-month period was about to end, Lucas prepared a special dinner. He knew this moment would be pivotal. They had come so far, and he didn't want the marriage to end there. "Chloe, I know our agreement is almost over, but I don't want us to end. I've fallen in love with you, truly, and I want us to continue, but this time as a real couple. No bets, no games. I love you too, Lucas, and I want to try. I want to build something with you, but this time as equals, as a real couple." That moment was pure happiness for both of them. They had overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible, and now they were ready to move forward together. Months later, Chloe started to notice something different about her body. She felt nauseous in the mornings, something she wasn't used to. It wasn't until after a checkup that she was sure she was pregnant. When Chloe told Lucas, his reaction was pure joy. He embraced her, laughing and crying at the same time. Everything they had gone through, all the pain and heartache, now seemed to lead to this moment of renewal. They were ready to start a new life together, with a new family on the way. "I want to marry you again, but this time, for real. Not because of a bet, not for any reason other than loving you and wanting to spend my life with you. This time, it'll be a real wedding, a fresh start." Their new wedding was an intimate celebration, with only close friends and family. No superficial glamour, no business pressure, no bets, just Chloe and Lucas, united by true love, ready to face the future together. As the guests joyfully celebrated the newlyweds, Jack stood quietly in a corner, observing with a thoughtful smile. He had never imagined that his playful challenge to Lucas would lead to such a beautiful outcome. But as he watched Chloe standing firmly beside her husband, he realized she was unlike any woman Lucas had ever met. She was neither overwhelmed by the luxury surrounding her, nor swayed by Lucas's wealth or power. Her strength radiated effortlessly, and Jack couldn't help but admire her for it. What do you think? Did Chloe make the right choice in forgiving and marrying Lucas? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. Your participation means so much to us. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more narratives like this. Thank you for watching.